Hey, wine mermaids. This is the Peace, Love, and Wine podcast, bringing you happy hour conversations with awesome women on self-care, sisterhood, and creative living to reduce stress and maximize joy. Life is short, so grab a glass and get ready to sip, sparkle, and make a splash. Make sure to visit peaceloveandwine.com and enter your email to receive VIP deals and get your free self-care download. Now, here's your wine sister hostess with the mostest, Tiffany Humfeld.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Peace, Love, and Wine podcast. I am delighted to finally have Kim Summers Egelsee on the podcast today. Hey, Kim, how you doing?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. So I think we don't live too far from one another, but we've been trying to connect for, it feels like over a year now.
Yeah, we made it work.
We made it work. So it looks like you do a lot of things, from being a TEDx speaker to an author to a life coach, confidence coach. Tell me kind of how this all transpired.
Yeah, thank you. I was introduced, I'm 44 now, and I was introduced at age 18 to seeing Jim Rohn, one of the great motivational, inspirational speakers. And that was very life-changing and got me on a track to just follow and read a lot of those greats at that time and that still are greats, like Zig Ziglar and Og Mandino and the guys who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, Mark and Jack, etc. And I really got involved in goal setting and just making myself better and realizing you can actually learn to be happier and more confident. And not saying during some of those periods, especially in my 20s, I didn't have roller coaster situations and fall down like many of us do, but it really did shape my life. And I ended up actually going into stuff in the entertainment business, like acting and modeling and some producing, actually sang in a rock group for a while. But then I also ended up going into the field of special education and really focusing a lot on behaviors and, helping different children and adults. And this was all before I had kids. And so on the side, I realized that I absolutely loved life coaching and doing intuitive readings and that I was really good at it. Thought it was a hobby. Ended up getting really fascinated and taking more and more certifications in different things, and finally realizing that coaching and speaking and helping people be happier and more confident was really my full-blown purpose. So I let go of everything and going into that full force, which has been now for full force. It's been over 8 years.
Okay, neat. And you have your own coaching certification program too, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. And how did that evolve, going from deciding that you're going to, do the coaching to offering it for other people?
Yeah, I ended up really serendipitously partnering with Kyle Wilson, who was Jim Rohn's 18-year partner and was an agent for Og Mandino and worked with a lot of the greats. And we started working together and doing different projects together. And I started to explain to him that through the years I had developed lots and lots of my own coaching exercises that were very valuable and workable. And a lot of them are based on NLP, hypnotherapy, different forms of spirituality and life coaching, all kind of mixed together. And he started reviewing them, and we started getting feedback from people and figuring out, how can we share this? How can we help others teach these same things? And it evolved into a full-blown life coach certification program where he's my partner in it.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, so it's awesome. We've had almost 50 men and women involved in the program so far, which makes me so happy because it's like those 50 men and women go reach, who knows, thousands of people each. So it's like a nice way to really reach out and help people.
Yeah, that's really cool. And how long have you had that program?
I started it, now it's an online program and we do some live workshops, but I started it on my own one-on-one about maybe 4 years ago, I think it was. I used to do it one-on-one with people where they met me in person and we took 6 months to get certified. And now it's nice because it's a do it at your own pace online course.
Neat. Now, so what is your current focus right at the moment? Or maybe even let's step back a minute. I'm really interested in the confidence aspect, and so tell me a little bit how that became one of your focuses.
Yeah, I grew up with a really normal upbringing. I'm an only child. I'm still best friends with my parents, but I had different things happen to me like bullying and kids making fun of me and ending up in a really bad relationship when I was younger. And a lot of that just shot my confidence down and made me really insecure and a big people pleaser. And I started realizing it. I started realizing it was affecting my life and that I was always in my head wondering what people were thinking. And because I knew so much about personal development, I basically went on this research quest to figure out how can you really learn and become confident. And I started finding out, the 100 best ways and the 100 wisdoms and knowledge and tools that can help someone step into more confidence. And as I went about it, I became more and more confident and realized that it actually worked. And so although I do all kinds of things in my business, that's probably the biggest one that is the foundation of everything else. And so it came about that I would coach people with business and life coaching related mainly to confidence because of all of that research.
And do people come to you specifically for that, or do they come to you for life and business coaching, and then what you really teach them is increased confidence?
Yeah, I would say 25% of people specifically will say it's a confidence issue. And then the rest is like, oh, I need business coaching. And then they go, oh, okay, 40% of my things that I'm going through are because I'm not having enough confidence, so it kind of leads into that a lot of times. And then another percent has nothing to do with confidence and they come to me for some whole other reason. But confidence is always there. So it's a helpful foundation for everything else.
Definitely. I feel like you can get away with a lot just by having confidence, right? In terms of
absolutely
making things work and making people, inspiring confidence in others about you, right?
Yeah. And you the more confidence someone develops, the more freedom you feel. And so you're able to just totally let go and be yourself, and then everything becomes easier. And so I think that's a big part of it, is like feeling that freedom to create or to succeed, but not having issues in your head where you're always wondering if you're enough or if you deserve it or what people are thinking.
Yeah, I think many of us can relate to that, including myself.
Yeah, we're all human.
Yep. So I like to talk about what people can do to minimize their stress and maximize joy in life. So do you have any tips with how you deal with stress specifically?
Yeah, one of the things, wine, of course, right? I'm on the wine show. I do love, a good glass of red wine at the end of the night, to be honest. And, that is definitely a nice way to de-stress and relax. But one of the things that I do, and I have a lot of my audience members and clients do, and it's really life-changing. It's simple. It's something that you can do every month, and you basically just simply make a list of everything you're doing in your life right now. So, not sleep, obviously, but just what are the main things you're doing? Who are you hanging out with? What projects are you working on? Are you working out? Do you have hobbies? Do you have things related to your career that you're doing? So a big list of what you're doing now. And then you want to make a second list of your visions, dreams, and goals. And you want to go back to each list and rate each thing 0% to 100%. 0 being, okay, I don't like this. This is terrible. 50, 60, 70 would be that it's so-so. And then 100 would be that this is me. This is my passion. It makes me feel alive. I'm aligned with this. With the goal being that you start to become hyper-aware in a good way, where you're very self-aware of what are the things on your list in life that are 100, and eventually getting to the place where you're living everything's 100. And so it teaches you to really live for your passions and live for things that make you feel alive and that are aligned with you. But it also teaches you to automatically know when to say no and when to stop stretching yourself too thin and do things that feel more like play rather than work, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally makes sense. I'm all about the play.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's too many people that say yes to everything, and it's kind of a high, oh my gosh, I'm accomplishing all these things, I'm helping so many people, but then they end up with extreme stress, they feel not balanced, they're not getting enough sleep, and a lot of it is just that we need to learn to say no more and to structure our time better, and I think that's really one of the top causes of stress. A lot of it is self-created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and sometimes you can't really see it until you write it down, right?
Yes, it just trains you. It trains your mind, and It's very hard in the beginning to say no to certain things if you're not used to it, but then the more you do it, the more powerful you're realizing it is. Like, oh my gosh, maybe there'll be a small percent of people that get angry, but you got to live for what makes you healthy and happy, and then you're better for everybody else anyway.
Yep, totally. So there's a sort of weird balancing act, though, because a lot of the books that I've read, they say, you should say yes when you have the opportunity. Like, don't hide from the opportunity and say yes, but that can be overdone. So how do people, especially if they're new to business or really trying to accomplish something and get out there, get exposure, how do they know when it's an opportunity they need to seize and one that maybe they need to say, no, I have too much on my plate?
Yeah, I love that question. It takes a lot of practice, and it's a mixture of things. And so sometimes, yes, if you're a really passionate person and creative, then you're going to do that list that I talked about, and there's going to be too many things. And so you may have to say, okay, this is all way too crazy for my schedule. I'm going to have to take 4 of these really big 100% things and say, okay, these 8 are for this year and these 4 are for next year. And really take into account it. I need family time, I need health time, I need self-care time, all of that. And then also sometimes it's confusing because let's say the big picture is this amazing project in your business or in your purpose or career, and there's a couple of tasks that you hate doing, like somebody doesn't want to do social media or blogging, and they know that doing that and putting the time in is going to lead to that 100% excited yes, passionate thing. And so sometimes we have to analyze it and go, okay, is it worth doing? Is it going to lead to something that's going to be life-changing and transformational? And the last thing I would say is that when something comes in and you're not always sure, you can try to either try to make it 100% by shifting a few things or shifting your attitude. But also I ask myself, I'll say, okay, does this make me feel alive? Does this feel totally aligned with who I am? Intuitively, am I getting a light, warm feeling like this is right? Or is there a strange feeling there? Is there a dark, cold feeling? Because sometimes on paper it seems like 100%, but there's something off and you feel it and you're not even sure why. And you have to trust that. And so there's a lot of things that come into account. So it really does take practice, but little by little it becomes where you master it, and then you feel so much more balanced and less stressed.
Mm-hmm. And how do you suggest people use their calendar to minimize their stress?
Everybody has different ways. Some people feel better writing and some people feel better on the phone, and everybody has different ways. Somebody has to have like a secretary manage it all, however it works for you. But for me, I pretty obsessively check my week, like about probably pretty much every day. Like I'll look at the whole month and just double check and go, am I doing anything unnecessary? Is there anything, does it seem too full this week? Do I need to move something to next week? I try to make sure there's spaces in between meetings, like if I need a 15-minute break or, I've already scheduled 4 meetings. You know that if you have 5, you're going to feel overtired by the end of the night. So maybe we should stick to 4. So that's another thing that takes practice. But I think regularly reviewing your calendar and making sure you're not overdoing it, making sure you're not addicted to having, the chaotic schedule. And then for me, what's helpful too is if I'm having kind of a hard week or it feels busy and I'm in vacation mode, I'll look at each thing I have to do and I'll put meaning. I'll say, what's the big why for this? Even if it's like going to the DMV, okay, how can I get something good out of this? And I'll already think about it ahead of time before I go do it. And that'll help me feel better about it and feel more propelled and go-getter towards doing the different things on my calendar.
I like that. I like thinking of ahead of time of, how can I find a positive in this?
Yes.
Yeah. So what are you excited about right now?
Gosh, I'm honestly, I'm really excited. Well, personally, I'm a big, I just love and thrive on travel. And we've already booked all our trips for the whole year. So we've already booked Mammoth, Lake Tahoe, a couple cities in Italy, Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. I'm speaking at a conference in Minnesota. All of that gives me a big why on succeeding. So that's a big one, travel. And then, especially because it's family time. And then I'm working on a really important, interesting book. It's a spiritual book. I can't talk about it too much because pretty big in the media, but I'm really, really excited about that. And then just everything I do, because I'm not saying yes to things I don't want to do. I used to. And so now I get excited about everything. I'm like, okay, I'm going to speak at this, and this client's coming, and I'm going to do a reading with them. And I have a mastermind tomorrow that's 5 hours long with these 13 amazing women. And I get excited about everything I'm doing because I say yes only to things that I really want to be doing. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Where are you going in Italy?
Florence and Venice.
Oh, cool. I've never been to Venice. I hope to go before it sinks.
Yeah.
I hope they're able to save it.
The wine places. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, you said something that, okay. So I totally get and appreciate and understand making that space in your calendar and saying yes to the things that are really going to fuel you and sort of your mission. What do you say to people, though? There's the whole fear thing, right? That comes into play. And sometimes you just have to push through it or like walk through it. And it doesn't feel good initially. How do you differentiate between fear because you're just uncertain and it not being the right choice?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. It's nice to get feedback from people that you trust and have an accountability partner or a group that you can get feedback from to make sure that you're all the way understanding what you're getting into or doing. Sometimes we have trouble seeing it if we're in it.
Right.
Definitely developing confidence and intuition, because the more you know yourself and the more you know what qualities you have and what you're bringing to the table and why you deserve something, mixed with intuitive knowledge and feeling and even divine connection, it all comes together and you're able to really most of the time know, okay, this is right, this isn't right. And even trust sometimes when something comes along and everything on paper and all of my logic will fit, and I'll get the weirdest intuitive feeling and I'll just know I have to say no. And sometimes I never know why I said no. It's just that feeling. And so sometimes it's that, and the fear is normal, but a lot of times it can help to go, okay, this is childlike curiosity. Or sometimes we just get uncertainty because we've never done something before. And so sometimes it helps to tell your mind, okay, I'm not labeling this as fear, I'm labeling it as curiosity, uncertainty. And I feel like the stronger your why, your desire of doing something is, that it'll help push the fear back and go, okay, I want this so bad it doesn't matter. And one other technique that's interesting is if there's something like, let's say somebody is going to go to an interview, it's a chance to get this big position that is life-changing and they're very nervous and they have a lot of fear. They would make a list of the things that they're afraid of. And maybe usually it comes out like, okay, there's 8 things that I'm afraid of. And they would make another list of all of the positive outcomes and possibilities that could occur. And let your mind stretch and let your imagination go. And usually you can think of 50 positive possibilities. And what that does is it helps shrink it in your mind and shift your whole mindset to look at the situation differently. And so a lot of this, as you know, is just your mindset is either holding you back or moving you forward. And so we can take control of that and change it. And, the mind doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. So a lot of times it is what you write, what you tell yourself, and what you visualize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that, shrinking the problem by seeing, more of the possibilities written down. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what else are you doing right now? So you have how many books do you have right now?
I have 2 books that I wrote myself, and then I'm working with a partner on another book, and I've co-authored 10 books with other people.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What have you found to be most helpful in the writing process to get it done? I'm working on one right now, so I'm curious.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. With my books, I did it in such increments over the course of years. Like my first book and my second book was like bits and pieces of things that I wrote through the course of 3 to 4 years each time. And so for a while, I did the pressure thing where I was like, okay, I got to finish the rest of the book by this month. And I ended up getting kind of frustrated and not enjoying it and feeling like I was in school, having my teacher tell me what to do. And so it helped me to kind of let go of the pressure and the timeline and look at it as a more creative thing. It depends. was just for me. I do a speaking and writing workshop with a partner of mine who's a publisher editor, and she has lots of different unique creative methods where she'll say, schedule it in and make it fun and use colored pencils and draw things while you're typing it out and get yourself creative and all these different things. Make a vision board for each chapter, and she has lots of cool techniques. But again, with the book, I think it's the why. What's your why for doing it, and have you talked to make sure it's a good time. Sometimes for business, sometimes I advise clients to wait until they've built their social media over the next year and built their clientele more, and because you'll get more sales and you'll get more of a pop. So it just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're both yours are number one, correct? Number one bestsellers?
They both did, yes.
Yeah.
On Amazon.
And one is, what are they? They're both about the 10 plus life, right?
Yeah, the first one is getting your life to a 10 plus, and the second one is living the 10 plus life. And it's all about really being able to make every area of your life to where it's an extraordinary level. And, of course, no one's perfect. I have bad days. I have, things happen. But it teaches you to shift your mindset and be able to handle things better and shift things quicker, and how to really elevate every area of your life so that you're already happy. And so then when you have goals and dreams, everything else that comes in is like a bonus.
Cool. Yeah. So what did you do to really get those books out there? Did you do a lot of PR? Like, what was your marketing strategy?
Yeah, that's what I recommend to people. And I waited, I think it was like 3 or 4 years that I was in business before I let my first book out. I had co-authored a few, which is a great thing to do. And I really built my social media. I went to probably 5 networking meetings a month. I held my own workshops every month for 3 years with speakers and audience members. I did a lot to form the foundation of people knowing me enough so that I'd get a decent amount of sales and the book would be a success. And then when it was getting closer, I definitely took, a month to really remind people over and over again, like, my book's coming out, please buy 5 copies. I'll give you, an hour of free coaching or whatever it may be. But, really, unless you're super famous, then a book is more for credibility, and it's obviously to leave a legacy and to put some great knowledge and maybe to help your clients or your audience members. But it usually won't be this huge thing unless you get absolutely lucky and have some, important person see it and get it out there to the Ellen Show or Oprah or something like that, right. Which you never knew. But really the big why for a book a lot of times is credibility, and to build your business, kind of have that extra credibility to get you more opportunities. Right.
Yeah, I think, there's people who teach about books for making money, but I think you have to have huge volume if you're not a well-known person in the industry, right? And
yeah, even if you get lucky and you get a publisher, and you're not like a big media name yet, they'll ask you, they'll say, okay, we'll give you a PR person for like a month for this book, but what are you going to do? What's your audience like? What's your social media like? What are you going to do to market this? And they're going to ask you to put together a whole big page of everything you're going to do to get the book out there as well.
Yeah, which I recently learned as I've been researching and studying, but that's a huge thing, I think, for people who think, oh, I'm going to get a publisher because they're going to be able to promote it. But it sounds like, yeah, they really want you to do the majority of that work, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Any final words of wisdom or anything you want to share with the audience here?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I feel like, it's just so simple, but one of the biggest things that I've seen that's a big epidemic is people aren't loving themselves enough, and they feel they've been brought up to think that, thinking you're great and thinking you're amazing is snobby or full of yourself. And there's a huge difference with being authentic and being down to earth and just knowing the gifts you've been given. You don't think you're great at everything, but you have a knowing of, I have these qualities. This is what's great about me. This is what I love about myself. And I did a research project where for 3 years I went around and asked every audience, this was like multimillionaires, working moms, you name it. how many of you, if I gave you 1 minute, could really list the 10 things you love about yourself? And basically about 5% of every audience only raised their hand. And it's pretty shocking. And so I highly recommend your listeners to make sure you have a list of at least 20, maybe even 50 things that you know you're great at and that you love about yourself. Because if we don't know that, then we don't have that, it's going to be very difficult for us to bring everything we have to the table and to really know and deserve that we know that we deserve success and that we can manifest great opportunities to come in.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I do understand how hard that can be. It's interesting how it can be so much easier to find those things in somebody else.
Yeah, totally.
But I think sometimes the key too is just to ask one of your best friends, right? Like, what's awesome about me? And that helps.
Yeah, one of the things that I recommend too, because one of the top 5 of the ways to become confident is getting feedback. A lot of people go, well, we don't care what anyone thinks. Well, that's not true. There's going to be, maybe there's going to be 30, 40% of the people that don't like you, and that's normal. But the 60% or so that do are the people that you're going to work with and connect with and do business with and hang out with. And you, of course, you care what they think because you respect them and they should respect you. And so if you can email, 6 to 10 of those people that you know, like, and trust, and just say, hey, I'm doing a project. Can you give me some feedback? How do you see me? What are some of my gifts and talents? And can you give me some constructive criticism? It's going to help you really know how others see you, and the world will show up better. You'll go, oh, I didn't realize 6 of these people think I'm a good leader. I never looked at myself that way. And all of a sudden, you're realizing it, and you're able to show up better as a leader. And that's just one example. But I've had people even figure out like a whole new career because of the feedback they got from their friends and loved ones.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you're doing and how to keep in touch?
Yeah, simply, you can just go to my website, which is kimlifecoach.com. And you can email me at kim@kimlifecoach.com. And I do have a really great online confidence course that's very inexpensive, and that's under kimsconfidencecourse.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for being here. I hope I get to meet you in person soon.
I know. We're so close. We have to.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much.
This is a public service announcement from Peace, Love, and Wine. Hey, Mermaid, are you feeling calm AF? If not, I have a solution for you, and it's free. Go to peaceloveandwine.com and grab your free self-care download by entering your name into the pop-up, or just go to the show notes and grab your Calm AF link there into your email, and we'll get you on your way to feeling good. Oh, yeah.